Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video, we'll be talking about the rumor that the Washington Commanders could trade cornerback Marshon Lattimore to the Chicago Bears. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well, so you never miss a video. So let's talk about this rumor. This is from Benjamin Solak from ESPN, who talked about it, and here's a Bears account just tweeting it. But the Bears are a trade suitor for Commanders DB Marshon Lattimore per Benjamin Solak from ESPN. Lattimore played with, or for Dennis Allen in New Orleans, and Dennis Allen, I believe, is the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. We know the accolades. He hasn't done it here, but, did have a good game against Kansas City Chiefs, so definitely got to give him credit for that. Had an interception and overall just had a really good game. I don't remember any big plays against him or penalties called against him. So he had a good game there, but overall his tenure with the Commanders has been very, very disappointing. He has not, lived up to the draft capital that the Commanders had to give up to get him. So, getting anything for Marshon Lattimore, in my opinion, would be a pretty good move. And Chicago Bears, not that we can talk any trash because they beat us, but it would be good to give them Marshon Lattimore. Definitely would help us to give it to another team and give them to the Bears, because at this point I don't think Marshon Lattimore has a lot in the tank, and the season's over, in my opinion, for the Washington Commanders. I mean, Jaden Daniels is coming back this week, so we'll see if that can change things. We're 3-5 though, so it's going to be very hard for the Commanders to do anything at this point, and it's going to be very difficult. So if they can get some draft capital for a guy that has been awful for them, I think by all means you go ahead and do it. All means you go ahead and do it. You get Marshon Lattimore, or you trade Marshon Lattimore. I don't know what you would get for him, even if it's a 7th, 6th round pick. Why not do it? I wouldn't be opposed to giving him up for almost nothing. He hasn't been good for the Commanders, and you can move players around. You could possibly have Sanders still on the outside with Lattimore getting traded, Amos on the outside, and then play Jonathan Jones or Noah Igbenogany in the slot. For me, that's better, and see if Sanders still actually does play better outside, because last year he definitely did, and that would be something that would be good for the Commanders, because Lattimore, he's older. He's not a long-term option here. He's not a long-term option. He's going to be a free. I don't know if he's a free agent, or I know for sure he has no guaranteed money left on his deal. So the Commanders aren't going to extend him or anything. So if you can get anything for him, I think you go ahead and do it. Whether that's a 6th or 5th round pick, I think it makes sense for the Commanders to move on from Marshon Lattimore, get anything you can for him, and make some moves on this defense after trading Lattimore, and see if that helps the defense. I think you could literally get an addition by subtraction while trading Marshon Lattimore. And sorry, I'm a little bit sick, congested, but you trade Lattimore, and like I said, with those moves, you can put Sanders still outside and back to where he was at the end of last year, where he really balled out, and see if that really elevates his play and the defense as a whole's play. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor. And a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys check them out. You can win real money with picks. There's a Thursday night game tomorrow, Ravens versus Dolphins, and obviously the Commanders play Sunday night football against the Seattle Seahawks. So it's different games you can put picks on. You can win real money. They have a promo where you can get a free $20 entry into a contest. So, really, really good deal there. And you can also use promo code Pedro on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100. Link in the description. Terms and conditions apply. All right, so again, huge shout out to Sleeper there for sponsoring today's video. But let's talk a little bit more about Marshon Lattimore, what we can get for him, and some other guys maybe on the trade block. I'm also going to be making a more detailed video on guys I think the Commanders should sell. But Lattimore, if you can get anything for him, definitely go ahead and make that move, because like I said, the Commanders, even if they somehow make a miracle turnaround this season, I don't think Lattimore is going to be a part of that. And the Commanders only have 6 draft picks going into this next year's draft. They need to get younger, man. And I'm not saying a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick is going to make the biggest difference in the world, but piling up those assets does make a difference in the long run. You can turn, let's say you get a 5th round pick for Lattimore, you get a 6th round pick. I'm just throwing stuff out there, guys. I don't know exactly what the value is, but maybe you get something for Wagner. Maybe you get something for, if you want to trade Deebo Samuel, you get something for him. You can turn those, a couple 5ths into a 4th, stuff like that, or use stuff to trade up. So I'm just saying that these picks do make a difference. Like, I did like the move that they made to trade Brian Robinson. They got a 6th round pick out of it, and Brian Robinson, was he going to be a difference maker this year? No. And a lot of these guys that they could potentially trade are not going to be difference makers for the rest of the season. And I think it's better to just move on and trade a lot of these guys. So, Zach Ertz, and not only just to get the assets, but also, I like Zach Ertz. He's cool, and he had a great season last year for the Commanders in the playoffs too, and has had some good moments this year. But he's not amazing. He's not a part of the future. Trade him for any assets you can get, and I just want to see. Let me see what Ben Sinnott can do. I'm not a big Ben Sinnott guy, but let's see what he can do with tight end 1 opportunities. I want to see, can he be the tight end of the future? Right now, I don't think so. But again, we haven't seen, if he can get that opportunity. We just haven't seen him get that opportunity. So, we haven't seen if he's going to be that tight end 1, has that potential, because he hasn't gotten the opportunity. So if he does, if you can trade Ertz and give him that opportunity, maybe he can, perform well. And there's other players like that. Jordan McGee, not trading him, but trading, Bobby Wagner, making a move there, even though McGee's already playing more. So moves like that, I think, can make a difference in the future. Not only getting picks, but finding out, an accelerated version, just being able to find out if these guys are part of your future or not. So then you can make better decisions in terms of this offseason. All right, what position do we need to attack? We know the main positions. Edge rusher is number 1. Receiver is up there. Terry, he's been in and out of injuries this year, and, who knows what he is in the future. And Deebo's, a free agent. He's also older and also is dealing with injuries this year and every year. So the receiver room and edge room are the position groups that they really need to attack. So but other rooms like tight end, linebacker, you want to see what, cornerback room, you want to see which guys you have there that are part of the future. But yeah, Lattimore did have a really good game on Monday. 1 target, no catches, interception, 89 PFF grade if you care about that. I think he was the number 2 graded player behind Terry McLaurin, which of course he's out for this week, and my guess is another 2 to 5 weeks. Who knows at this point? We'll get a better sense on tomorrow, I guess, or one of these days if they put him on IR. If they put him on IR, then it's 4+ weeks minimum that he's going to be out, and we haven't had our bye week too. So, definitely something to monitor. My guess is, there's definitely a chance that he could be put on short-term IR, and then, it's Deebo Samuel season and Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane. I don't think they should make moves to sign guys. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. I guess in the first week, he's still learning the system. Second week, you get Terry and Deebo back. But this week, I need to see Treylon Burks on the field and, getting some reps in. I don't know, it doesn't have to necessarily be targets. We'll see. But getting some reps in, and I want to see what he can do and see if maybe the Commanders found a diamond in the rough, in, free agency, I guess, in the waiver. I guess it wasn't even a waiver wire. It was just a signing. So let's see if they found something in Treylon Burks. And, they also signed Drake Jackson. Those are the signings I like. Not necessarily signings that are going to help you right away, but signings for the future. So I hope they continue to make those types of signings. But that's kind of it. I just want to talk about Lattimore, the possibility of it. If you can get anything for him, I would go ahead and do it. I don't think he's going to get a lot of money in free agency that would warrant a comp pick. And I think the Commanders are going to be pretty active in free agency, which will kind of cancel their